Hello, and thank you for tuning into Millennial Movies. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 6 of Castle Rock, but before I break it all down, I do want to touch up on some bit of news that we got recently, which is that Castle Rock has been renewed for a second season. Yes, you heard that correctly. The showrunners have stated that this will be an anthology series, meaning that each season will tell a different self-contained story, much like another famous TV show like American Horror Story. So I like the sound of this. It means we're going to get the answers to the stories at the end of every season rather than being left on a cliffhanger like shows like The Walking Dead, where you have to wait months and months just to see what's going to happen next. Now, with this anthology like format, it leaves us open to the possibilities of perhaps some Dark Tower isms going on in the background. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But let's go ahead and break down the episode, starting off with Molly Strand, who's again a very peculiar and interesting character. Now, she's still seeing the priest with the bandages wrapped around his face, which is keeping her from doing her daily tasks. And I think this is a reason she's honest with Henry later when he comes by to check up on her and ask her if she knows anything about the trips that him and his father used to take in the woods. And basically, she's honest with him and tells him that through her empathic abilities, she could feel Henry almost pushing her to do the deed for him. So she's honest with him, but he just calls her crazy and he takes off. Now, I got to say that Molly's a very unique character. I like what she's done in the series thus far. I like the way they've used her, and I think she's really, honestly, a scene stealer and a standout of the series thus far. But moving on from there, like I wanted to mention with the Dark Tower isms, is that the psychoacoustic man in the woods talks about other heres and nows, and then Ruth mentions to Wendell that they've had this conversation before. Are these allusions to the Dark Tower? And is this how we could possibly be getting various self-contained stories in this anthology series of Castle Rock? Because they're all going to be taking place in separate timelines. I don't know. It certainly looks like they've opened up to that possibility, so they haven't closed the book on that just yet. So that's something just to keep your eyes on. But the boy gets sent to Juniper Hill right after he shows up to the Deaver house, and he's wearing Ruth's husband's suit, and she says, "I could have swore we buried him in that same suit." And so Henry takes him down to Juniper Hill, and like right smack on arrival, one of the birds that's flying over just comes crashing down and dies instantly. So we are aware that death follows the boy. He's got this touch that if you touch him, you're going to die, basically. We've seen it happen to various people in the past, so we know this about him. But going on from there, Henry tries to follow the trail in the woods that him and his father took on a videotape that he found the boy watching. So he tries to do that, but the battery dies. So he, attempts to go on without it, only to stumble across the two people who we saw at his dad's burial earlier in the episode. Now these people are Psychoacoustic Man and Willie. I forget the guy's name, so I'm just going to call him Psychoacoustic Man. But basically, Henry is someone who's really going through an identity crisis, and that's used against him with the man in the woods telling him that, how can his son get to know him if he doesn't even know himself? And he tells Henry that inside the acoustic room that he's built, that his father tried to build, he can basically get the answers he seeks. And he takes advantage of Henry's trust and locks him in there, and Henry starts hallucinating. And that's the last we see of him in that predicament. So that's a very scary situation for him to be left in, but it leaves for a great cliffhanger moving into next week's episode. But back with the boy and Alan, getting back to where we left off with them in episode 5, these are the most interesting characters I think that we've seen in the series. These are the most intriguing to me, at least. But the boy basically sends Alan to go get the car that Warden Lacey killed himself in, and he even puts a man at gunpoint to get that car. And meanwhile, while that's all happening, the boy, like I said, he breaks out of Juniper Hills, and he arrives back at Ruth's house. And he just comes in and he starts taking off the suit as if he owns the place. And like I said earlier, Ruth said that, she could have swore that that's the suit that they buried her husband in. And it's almost like the boy's trying to take on the the identity of Henry's father. So that's very interesting stuff that's going on there. But when Alan gets back, he finds the boy outside Ruth's house, and he's got blood on his arms. And he says basically, "What the hell? I thought we had a deal. Why did you say you would help her?" And he realizes that Ruth must be in danger. So Alan rushes into the house, and he finds that there's blood on the walls, and that there's blood on the floor, and that the whole place has been just completely trashed. It looks like someone broke in. It looks like, some type of accident occurred. And he finds, he doesn't, at least the episode ends there, because we don't see what happens to Ruth, and we don't see what happened to Wendell. Now, although I think they're safe, it's certainly a great cliffhanger to leave us on. But even going back to before that happens, the boy is really starting to say things more. So I like the fact that because he doesn't say anything, he hardly says anything in the first 4 episodes, that when in episode 5 and 6 that he starts talking, you listen, because it must be important. Now, he tells Alan, that there's going to be a monument for Warden Lacey and everyone else who helped put him in the box. And he tells him, "Why would you let him take me, Sheriff?" And this, the boy, he's got a plan. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Ruth and Wendell are dead, because I don't think he wants to kill everyone he comes across. I mean, he's had the opportunity to kill many people, and he hasn't done it. I mean, he didn't shake Henry's hand. He could have killed Henry, but he didn't shake his hand. He knew that, he's not going to let him touch him. So that makes the boy such, a complex character, because he has this morality to him, despite how unsettling his presence can be. And I think that's just, touching on, that speaks to how well the show is written, and how well of a performance that Bill Skarsgård is giving as the boy. So the show just keeps getting better and better with each episode, and I really want to see how Henry's going to get out of his situation. What became of Ruth and Wendell? Are they okay? And what are the boys' plans for the town? Great episode. Actually, a little interesting fact, this episode was co-written by Mark Bernardin, who is on the Fat Man on Batman podcast, and you can also catch that channel on YouTube. He does it with Kevin Smith. So I just thought that I'd shout him out here, because he did a fantastic job in this episode writing this episode. So yeah, that's it. That's been it for this review, guys. If you like this type of content, if you like me discussing Castle Rock and other Stephen King films and just horror in general, that's what I do on this channel, and I plan to keep doing that for you guys. So if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. But until next time, guys, I will see you all very soon.